Hey you guys, we are re-filming my intro really quick because the bugs were so loud the first time, so my hair is gonna look different in the next clip. But if you're new here, hi, my name is Rachel. Today we're gonna be doing 15 things I learned my first year of teaching, and I am a Life with the Learners over on Instagram, so make sure you're following me there and on TikTok. And I'm switching from 3rd grade to 1st grade, so be excited for all of the new classroom setup and all of that coming soon. Alrighty, let's go ahead and get on into it. All right, starting off strong with number 1, it's something you hear all the time, but it's be flexible. I really learned this because I was not flexible, or I wasn't as flexible as I thought I was. I thought oh yeah, I know it's gonna be crazy, but mentally, I was not prepared for how much more flexible I needed to be. Because one, timing of everything was so crazy. I would think, oh, I can do this lesson in 30 minutes, then I'll do this lesson in 45 minutes. I was trying to follow this schedule to a T. This is the reading period, I need to do it in this amount of time, But it's not gonna be like that every day. More than likely, I don't think I had one day where it was exactly the time period. It's it was different every single day. So just being flexible and knowing one day you may not get through everything, you may get through everything one day, who knows. Also being flexible and you may have to cover someone else's class, you may have to have their students in there with you. There can just be crazy things that are happening, and just being flexible, going with the flow, and don't let it trip you up. All right, number 2 is only plan at most a week ahead. I think this is perfect. Some people may say don't plan that far ahead, but a week I feel is a good sweet spot, because you kind of know what to expect all the next week. You can prep for everything that week, and you may not get to it all, and you can kind of just move it to the next day, which is what I would do. I have my tangible rolling cart, and if I didn't get to it on Monday, I would move it just to the Tuesday cart, and we would do it on Tuesday. So it wasn't always, like I said, with the flexibility, it's not always perfect, but having that week at a glance of knowing kind of what you're doing for every subject was super helpful for me, and you can kind of just move it whenever you need to. Number 3, always have a blanket in your room. This is something super simple. I would keep it over the back of my chair, and 1, I would use it anytime I got cold in my room. 2, I would use it to go to recess, especially during the cooler months. I always brought my blanket outside. You can use it for rewards. I remember one week I was okay, or each day I would pick somebody who was being super quiet all day to use the blanket for the second half of the day, things like that. But you can never regret having a blanket in your room, and it's so easy just to have on the back of your chair. So always have it. You may get cold during your planning, you may need to take a nap, who knows, always have one. Number 4 is get the kids moving as much as possible. This one is huge. I try to do this. I feel I did a pretty good job of it. Anytime I knew they had been sitting down a long time, we would do a brain break. We always did a brain break in the morning, and we always did a brain break in the afternoon. But adding little things into it, movement, we would play math games, reading vocab for their vocab words. They stand up every time they saw a vocab word in the book we were reading. Things like that, just to get their bodies moving, will help significantly. So definitely do that. If you have any questions about other things that I do to get their bodies moving, let me know and I will get back to you. But something else I do a lot that I haven't really ever shared before, but I think this is genius. My coworker told me this. Have them kind of have a motivator. So say, okay, get your science books out and turn to page 42. When you're on page 42, give me 10 jumping jacks. Or when you get your pencil and your scissors out, give me 10 squats. Whatever it may be, get them up and doing those exercises. And 1, it helps them get their stuff out faster because they want to be able to move. And 2, they're getting some movement, so it's kind of waking them back up and getting them refocused for the lesson. Number 5 is don't be too hard on yourself. As a first-year teacher, no one thinks you know everything. They're gonna expect you to mess up, and so don't put that pressure on yourself that you have to know everything and you have to do everything the right way, because and realistically you're not going to. And I put a lot of pressure on myself just every day in life, and so I knew as a teacher I had done that. And I just remember at the beginning of the year especially, if we wouldn't get to a subject or we didn't finish something, or at the end of the day I'd be oh my gosh, I completely forgot to do this activity with them, or oh man, I was gonna do a game with them. I would beat myself up over it, and it's not worth it, and it'll drain you. So just move on, let it go, and you'll have a better day tomorrow. Learn from it. So don't be too hard on yourself, because you'll get the hang of it. All right, number 6 is have snacks for yourself in your class. I have mine in my desk drawer, and I would have Nutri-Grain bars, Cheez-Its, Whales, not all at the same time, but you could if you have a big drawer. But I had these in my drawer because one, anytime I gave them snack, I'd be a little hungry too. So I'd have a snack myself, or like during my lesson planning, I would have a snack sometimes, but you can never like not have a snack. So just have them there in case you get a little hungry, because teaching can really make you hungry depending on when your lunch is too. So have snacks. Number 7 is you can still be the fun teacher and still be strict and have expectations. This is really hard for me. I get a lot of questions about this on TikTok. It's like, how can you like be fun and like have all these things and do all these things with your kids, but like still be strict and then respect you and then follow your expectations? My 2 biggest things that I like learned from last year is, 1, have your expectations be clear, like let them know what you expect of them, and make sure like you like reinforce that a lot, but also let them know that like you're not playing around. Like if they don't line up the way you want them to and the way the expectation was told, then like you'll do it again until it's right. Let them know you're serious. And also like I would communicate with them a lot about like why they were getting in trouble. Like, well, the reason you guys have to do this again is because the expectation is this and you guys decided to do this instead. And like just talk to them about it, because that'll help them realize why they're getting in trouble. And I would even say sometimes like I would feel bad and I'd be like, I'm not doing this to be mean, but like you have to learn, like in life you can't just like halfway do things and expect everything to be fine. Like you have to do it the way it's told. And like I would tell them I'm prepping them for like the next year, you know, like next year in 4th grade you're not going to be able to do things like this, like you're gonna have to do it the right way. And so just like talking them through it and like why you're giving them that consequence, I think is key. Because if you're just saying like, nope, that's wrong, they're not gonna learn from it. So like make sure you're communicating with them as to what they're doing wrong, how they can do it better, and make it fun, but like also let them know you're serious. So like you can be having fun and like doing a game and all that stuff, but like let them know the rules, be clear and concise, and like if they're not following the rules, well, you don't get to play the game. And like let them know. Don't like kind of be the like, oh, let it slide, because once you let it slide one time, you're gonna keep letting it slide. Kids are gonna catch on and they're gonna be like, oh, she's really not gonna do anything about that, so like we can keep doing it. Like let them know you're serious. This leads me to number 8, which is enforce your expectations. So for example, say it's like the 2nd day of school and you guys the 1st day of school went over how to line up, and you're lining up for lunch and your expectation is you do not talk in line. Well, let's say you have all them line up and there's one person talking in line. Then I would say, okay, I see that some of our friends are not following the expectation of how we are supposed to be in line, so let's all sit back down at our desks and let's try again, and show me the expectation that you know, which is we are not going to talk while we're in line. Have them all go sit back down, do it again. One person talks, do it again. You may have to do it 8 times, but like enforce it. Like let them know that like you're not just going to get away with not following the rules, because that'll help them know and see that like you're serious and like you're going to follow through with what you said. Following through is so important, and it will seriously like make or break you, in my opinion. Like I thought I was gonna really struggle with this. My like half year that I taught before in 2nd grade, I was terrible at this, and I would get so exhausted of being like, you guys can't do that, you guys can't do this, but like it was just draining to me. But last year, because I was so strict on what my expectations were and I made sure to follow through, like if I said, if you push them in line, then you're getting 5 minutes out of recess or whatever. Well, we couldn't do that, but like, you know what I mean? You're losing 5 dojos, then like, I'm gonna take those 5 dojos. You know what I mean? Like follow through with whatever consequence is set at the beginning of the year. Make sure you do it every single time. Don't let there be exceptions of like, oh, well, maybe I didn't say it this day. Like, no, you should be saying your expectations enough that like they know what they're doing and they know that it's wrong and they know they're gonna get a consequence for it, because you're that like regimented with your classroom management. Number 9 is teach them life skills. This is a really fun one, but it's also like super important because, you know, you're teaching them at such a young age, and it can be like super like vital for them to know just these life skills. And I feel like schools don't really like implement this a whole lot. So you can get a TPT bundle. I got one and it teaches them life skills, just like random life skills, but also like you can teach them like life skills of like saying yes and thank you and opening the doors for people and like not talking while someone else is talking and not interrupting, and like just like politeness and manners. Life skills like that will help you in the classroom because it's helping them be a better student at the same time as like being a better person outside of school. So teach them life skills. Number 10, make sure to have hands-on lessons as much as possible. This is like one of my favorite parts of teaching. Honestly, I love making lessons hands-on. I love making them fun. So if I know like ooh, long division's kind of hard, or like, ooh, multiplication, like that can be a doozy. I'm gonna make it as fun as possible, because if kids are having fun learning, it's gonna push them to learn so much more than just doing worksheets or like repetitive, just like flashcards all the time. Like, mix it up. I do flashcards, yes, but I like to do drilling with people. I like to do a bunch of like games and hands-on things. Like, use as many manipulatives as you can, make anything hands-on as possible. I mean, we'll do like spelling hands-on. Like, spelling, first off, you can do so many things hands-on for spelling, but make it as I'm saying that like 10 million times, but like, seriously, hands-on lessons will make your life so much easier as a teacher, and it'll make it so much more fun for you and for your students. Most of my hands-on lessons are ones that like I know my students remembered. Like, at the end of the year, I would be talking to them about their favorite things that we did, and almost all of them would say a lesson that like was hands-on. And even for like, you know, our 3D shapes, when we used toothpicks and marshmallows to create those 3D shapes, like that was some of their favorite lessons. And like, it was super simple and it was just super easy, and it was such a good way to teach them, and they remembered it the entire year. Number 11 is set boundaries with work and with parents. So step 1, work. I personally do not bring anything home, and I know a lot of people tell you not to do that, and a lot of people are like opposite of that, and they say like, there's no way you can be a teacher and not bring things home. I'm telling you, if you're about to be a first year teacher and you are worried that you're going to be taking work home all the time, you do not have to. And I managed to do that all year. I think I maybe took work home twice, and that was like when I was absent and I just wanted to get caught up a little bit more. But like, you don't have to, and it doesn't make you a bad teacher if like you're not doing work at home, because trust me, you don't need to do work at home. I maximize my time during the day. I have to be there by 7:30 and I can leave at 3. I typically like to stay after school until 4 just to make sure I have everything prepped for the next day. If I know when it's 3 o'clock and I'm like, oh, I already have everything for the next day good to go, and I'm pretty much caught up on grading, then I'm gonna go home. I'm not gonna just sit at school and like dilly-dally. But there are some days where it'll be 3 and I'm like, you know what? I wanna knock out all this prepping that I have for later in the week so that I'm like ahead and I don't have to like, you know, stay after school another day. Then I'll do it that day. I also maximize my planning time and like independent work time. If my kids in 3rd grade are like working on something independently, I'm grading. Like, if they're turning in tests, I grade the tests. I try to grade the tests as they're turning them in, because it'll save you so much time. And I noticed as soon as I got backed up on something, it just like was like a ripple effect, and I'd be behind like on everything. So I tried to like make sure I grade everything from that day, grade the test the day they take the test, have that out of the way and into the grade book. I may not put it into like the computer that day. I'll do that during my planning, but like just set those boundaries. Okay, on the flip side of that, parents and boundaries. So I really wanted to be the best teacher ever, and I thought that meant that I needed to reply to everything as soon as I got it. So if a parent texted me at 9 p.m. or even Dojo messaged me over the weekend, whatever it was, I thought I needed to email or respond to them as soon as possible. Otherwise, they don't like me, or they're mad at me, or I'm not a good teacher. And that's not the case. Parents should not expect you to respond right away, because just like any other job, if you call a doctor's office after they close, they're not gonna answer you. Like, they're closed until the next day. And so my school has like a rule set in place that like you should respond within 24 hours. And I always do that, but I would wear myself out trying to respond to all these emails and texts that I'd get late at night or over the weekend. And it was just like my school brain had to be turned on at all times. And it just really wore me out and it drained me, and I regretted it. Like, halfway through the school year, it was just a lot on me to like have that pressure on myself to do that. So next year, I am making sure that I have a boundary set in place with that, and just like making it super clear from the beginning of the school year to those parents, just like you're doing with your students, like having that clear expectation. Have a clear expectation with the parents that yes, like your job is to help them and you want to be there for them as much as possible, but like you have a life outside of school with your family, your husband, your fiance, your wife, whoever it is. Like, you have other people that you want to spend time with, and if you're constantly on school brain, then like that's taking away from that time with other people. And so I'm just making it super clear that like I'm gonna do my best to help you at all times, but these are my hours, and if you text or email me or class dojo me after those hours, I'm not for sure gonna respond. It may be the next day, but it'll definitely be within 24 hours. So just make sure you set that boundary early on in the year, and it'll really help you. All right, number 12, this kind of goes with the whole hands-on lessons, but Pinterest and Instagram are your best friends. As a teacher, you will get so many ideas from them. Like if you're not on Teachergram, you're really missing out. Here's a little snapshot of my Teachergram. I get so many ideas from there. I get a ton of ideas from Pinterest. And if you're doing a lesson and you're like, how do I make this a little bit hands-on? Go to Pinterest, type in hands-on lesson for planets, and boom, you'll come up with like 50 ideas, and you can pick either, and you can even filter them out kind of and be like, okay, I want something that's like low prep, things that are like, you know, may have some materials, maybe some that involve food. Like so many different ideas come up, like for the phases of the moon, you can do the Oreos, and there's just so many different ones that you'll learn through Instagram and Pinterest. So like I would take time over the summer and just during the school year, and I would spend so much time, especially on Pinterest, but like Instagram too. But like I would be like just saving them to boards. My Pinterest has like a board for every single holiday, every single like unit that I did, and it'll change now that I'm going to first grade. But like that way I knew, okay, this would be a good lesson for science, this is a good lesson for ELA, whatever it was. And so Pinterest and Instagram will help you so much, and it'll make your class so much more fun. Number 13, don't be afraid to ask your coworkers for help or your principal. My coworkers and my team teachers and my principal are seriously the best. I knew going in that if I ever needed anything, I could ask anyone. And I'm somebody who asks a lot of questions, and there definitely were times where I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm asking so many questions, I'm probably getting on their nerves, but they were so sweet, so helpful. And like no question is a dumb question. They don't expect you to know everything. They may have been working there 10 years. So like they know how to do everything, and they know coming in, you might not know everything. You probably don't know everything. So like just ask them for help, even if it's like the littlest of things. I would text my teammates and literally be like, wait, what are we doing for this? How did y'all do this? Like, are y'all doing anything for this? Like I would message them all the time. And so get close with your coworkers, ask them for help. And anytime I needed anything from my classroom, I knew I could go to my principal and ask, like if I needed something, and like he would be there to help me with it. So just ask questions and don't be afraid, and they're there to help you. So just do it. You'll be glad that you did. Number 14, it's okay for a lesson to flop. So kind of like I said, don't be hard on yourself. It is inevitable that a lesson is gonna do bad. Like if yours didn't, your whole first year of teaching, then props to you, because I had plenty fail where I was like, I had all these ideas in my head and I thought it would be so good, and then we did it and it was just terrible. Like I just was just like, oh my goodness. And even like as a flop as like, oh, my videos didn't work. I mean, like there would be a little like mishap here and there within my lessons, and I would be like, oh, like I'm so mad at myself. But like don't let it bother you, and like just like remember that for the next time. Or maybe you had this lesson planned out and it was for like a 30-minute block, and then it only took them like 10 minutes to do, and you're like, oh crap, what do I do for the next 20 minutes? Like that's okay, that's gonna happen. And so a lesson will flop, and that doesn't make you a bad teacher. Just learn from it and you'll get it next time. This leads me to number 15, take notes. So write down, make a Google folder, a Google Doc, whatever you want, and take notes, or in your planner. That's actually where I'd probably write it at, especially if you're gonna stay in the same grade. I really couldn't do this because I knew that I wasn't gonna be in 3rd grade again, but if you're gonna be in your grade for a while, take notes on how your lessons did. So if a lesson did really good, like put beside of it even just a little scribble of like, check, it went good. Like each time your lesson does good, do a check. If it didn't do good, then you could put add a video, or worksheet didn't work, or like give more time, or add this. Like little tiny snippets. It will not take long, but in your planner do that. It'll save so much time for the next year whenever you're coming up on like your like fraction lesson, to be like, oh, last year I showed this video and it worked really well. I need to make sure I show that one again. Or, oh, last year we had like not enough hands-on. I need to look up on Pinterest to see if they have more hands-on things. So just like take notes, because it'll help you so much, especially if you're gonna be in the same grade, because mine won't. But I can still like learn if you're gonna be changing grades like me. I still kind of have an idea of things that didn't work and did work like generally. So I know that going forward. All right, you guys, that was my 15 things I learned my first year of teaching. Hopefully it helped some of you guys out. Maybe it calmed your nerves a little bit, got you ready. Let me know if you're gonna be a first year teacher, and make sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed, and make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and I will talk to you guys later.